Welcome back to the Model 3 Man channel. Last week the buzz was the unveiling of the Model Y. I was very fortunate in being able to attend, almost didn't through my own stupidity. There was the magic ticket, and on the back my number 184, which got me a ride pretty early on in the evening. And I encouraged all of you to put your questions in the comments sections on the previous 2 videos that I uploaded, and you did. So thanks to your participation, we have 10 questions that I'm going to go through in this video. Oh, by the way, I had meant to upload this a day earlier, but yesterday, Dragon Lady, aka Janine, and myself were able to attend a Sting musical. It's entitled The Last Ship. It was written by Sting. Sting acted in it. Sting sang in it, played guitar. It was awesome. It was the Princess of Wales Theatre in Toronto, and we had such a good time. So this is a day late thanks to that. So, question number 1, let's get going. Do the additional 2 seats in the third row serve any practical or useful purpose? If I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to say no. Look, if you have 5 kids, and they're all between the ages of 2 and 13 or 14, you're certainly going to want those extra seats. But if you have 2 or 3 kids, they're probably going to sit in the second row, unless you're taking uncles, aunts, grandparents along with you. It reduces the storage capacity that we'll talk about in a subsequent question. They're much smaller. They do not look like Tesla designed seats. They're kind of little benches that fold up and down, but I wouldn't say that they serve a major practical function. They can fold flat, thereby increasing the storage space, but are they useful? Not to a lot of people who would want to buy the Y. Question number 2. Does the Model Y have a power hatchback or tailgate? In other words, if you pressed your remote, would it be able to open and then close? And the answer that I got from our driver on the evening was yes, it does. The answer that all of the other YouTubers were given was it does have a power tailgate, which lifts up and down, and I'm pretty sure can be operated on the remote. We don't have all the specs we like. If you go and visit the Tesla website and you go onto the Model Y page, you'll see that for yourself. So a lot of this is what we were told by the driver and some technicians on the evening, and we'll have to see how that turns out once a car has been released to the press. Question number 3. What is the storage capacity of the Model Y like in comparison to the Model 3? Well, that's an easy one. According to the specs, which have been released, the Model 3 has 15 cubic feet of storage. The Model Y has 66. Now, it's not the largest in any crossover SUV. It's certainly not the smallest. Question number 4. How does the ground clearance and the overall height of the vehicle compare with that of the Model 3? Well, the unfortunate thing is we just don't know. Now, I've washed my car often enough to have a good feel for where the roof comes up in relation to my own height as I stand next to the car. And when I stood next to the Y and pretended I was about to clean the car, it was higher. So I'm guessing that there's probably an additional 2, maybe 2.5 inches of ground clearance that's been added in, and probably at least that and maybe an inch more on the overall height of the vehicle. So I'll say a little bit more about that when I talk about the second row seats in a few moments, but it definitely felt a few inches higher, both off the ground and at the top of the car. Question number 5. How much longer is the Model Y than the Model 3? Well, again, that's one of those questions for which they have not yet published any kind of specifications. Elon talked about it being 10% larger. Now, that could be wheelbase, it could be nose to tail. It could just be that partial width increase and partial length combined to give about a 10% greater size. We don't know. But as I looked at it, and as others have tried to superimpose pictures of Model 3 on top of the Y, it does look a little longer. I stood next to it and tried hard just to get a feel for it. On the other hand, the trunk is very much straighter and you could call it stubbier, which is, of course, because of the hatchback. But overall, it feels and seems just a little bigger than the Model 3. Question 6. Shouldn't the Model Y really just be called the Model 3 Max? Of course, that term, the Model 3 Max, is a play on Apple's iPhone X or iPhone 10, and then the iPhone 10s and the iPhone 10s Max. So what we're looking at here is a question that, getting to the heart of it, actually asks, is this really different enough from a Model 3 for it to actually be called something different? Short answer to that, absolutely it is different enough. I know that when you look at it from the front, it looks exactly like a Model 3. But if you look at it from every other direction, and in fact if you go and stand at the back, or you stand at the side, or you look at the glass roof on the top, the feature sets are different. They are definitely using 75% of Model 3 components. But when you come to a complete trunk redesign and a difference in internal capacity of that nature, you really cannot call it a Model 3 Max. It really does deserve its own letter, and how else are you going to spell the name sexy after all? So it's not anywhere near as big and as imposing as the Model Y, but it was never meant to be. It was meant to be a Model 3, where you took away the frustrations of reduced internal storage, difficulty in accessing the trunk, low seating. So all of these things actually put it onto a different plane, and I think justifiably it can be called a Model Y, a separate model from the 3. Question number 7. Does the Model 3's panorama roof really feel that different from that on the Model 3? Well, to answer that question, we have to understand that on the Model 3, we have a central, could be called a roll bar, could be called a crossbar, right in the middle of the roof. And inside the car, of course, that's where the internal lights are attached. But the Model Y does not have that. It has one single piece of panoramic glass sweeping over from the top of the windshield right back to where the liftgate joins the roof. So I deliberately asked to sit in the back of the car and not on the front. Sitting in the front would feel like being in the Model 3. Sitting in the back, I was able to lean back and look up at the roof, and it is awesome. It was truly panoramic. I know it was nighttime, but it was a real feeling of openness. It felt like there was no limits. I would answer it this way. It's definitely an improvement on the Model 3. And although from the outside the Model 3 looks like one single piece of glass, from the inside it's broken up by that central roll bar. In the Model Y, we're freed from that, and it really looks grand. It's just wonderful. Question number 8. Does the rear view mirror provide a larger view of what is behind the car than the one in the Model 3, which even I have to admit is not a sumptuous rear view mirror experience. In fact, it's pretty tiny. I leaned forward, I looked up, I turned my head sideways, I got a glance into the rearview mirror, and it definitely felt like I was getting a bigger and more panoramic view of what was behind. Part of that is because that shelf at the back, or parcel shelf, call it what you will, doesn't exist in the Y, and so that difference opens up the back somewhat. So it may not be radically different, but it definitely does give more of a view than the Model 3's rear view mirror. Question number 9. This is a big one. What are all of the differences between the Model Y and the Model 3? I did just mention one, that parcel shelf, the back shelf, has been removed since this is now a hatchback. But let's go and look at the other differences, and I'm sure that there are a few more that I've missed out, but these ones came to mind and related to my experience of the test drive. So we're going to have a look at that there. I'll put that up on the screen when we finish the items. So first of all, it should be noted that in the second row, all of the 3 seats can fold independent of each other. Number 2, the rocker panels, which are those areas below each of the doors, In a Model 3, they're actually painted the same color as the car body. In the Model Y, it's a plastic cover, which looks very cool. It actually looks very, very smart, and it matches the Model X. So rocker panels, plastic covers. Number 3, in the front, there are no grocery bag hooks. I don't know why, but certainly not in the prototype. Tesla released a very brief overview of the Model Y, and from what I could see, there were no grocery hooks inside. We already mentioned this one. The center roll bar on the roof of the Model 3 is not present in the Model Y. From a safety perspective, that Model Y roof is going to be just as safe and secure as that on the Model 3. Otherwise, Elon is not going to earn the 5 stars that he was hoping for. Since there is no central roll bar, the lights that we have in the Model 3 have been relocated. They are on each side, and they're on the side pillars, which is logical. And that way they can provide light to the person that switches it on. So that's a pretty cool improvement. We've already mentioned, but I'll say it again, the powered tailgate is the difference between the Model 3 and the Model Y. On that tailgate, the glass is actually part of that hatchback. So it's not that the hatch, like the Model 3, lifts up and leaves the glass in place. The glass is part of it and goes up with it. Overall height, overall ground clearance has increased. Another difference, of course, the trunk has been completely re-engineered. It looks very much deeper and stubbier, certainly much higher than that found in the Model 3. And of course, that together with the liftgate gives us very large entrance into the trunk area, although we have not seen that yet. They would not open the trunk on the evening at the event, so we can only speculate, but if the hatch lifts right up, we're going to have enormous access into the storage space. Then the car actually has kind of a chrome delete. All of the areas that are chrome in the Model 3, if you go to the orders page, you'll see that they're not. They're dark gray or black in color. The door handles are not chrome. They're also black. So that's a pretty cool look. People have been paying to do a chrome delete and to black out the handles, and here it's being given to you in the Model Y. Will that hold up in the production versions? I don't know. I hope so. It looks really smart. Finally, the car has the ability to install a third row of smaller seats. Again, I wouldn't do it, and I don't think a lot of people are going to do that, honestly. And why would you do that unless you really had a large family? Or you were a soccer mom and you carried half the team in your car. So that's it. There they are. I'll put it on the screen. You can pause the video and just take a look yourself if you want to. That brings us to the final question, question number 10. And by the way, do feel free to add additional questions to the comments section on this video. Question 10, how comfortable were the seats in the second row? You remember that I said I went and sat there deliberately? They were great. They were elevated. In fact, all the seats in the car are elevated on risers. By sitting higher, and of course the roof itself is higher, not only did my head go nowhere near the glass, and I'm 6'2", so pretty tall. My head didn't go near the glass, but my legs were virtually straight or parallel to the floor as I sat in the back right-hand seat. My knees never even got close to touching the seat in front of me. The seat and the cushioning was really good. It felt comfortable. I was only in for 90 seconds, but it felt as though it would be a position and the type of seat that you could sit comfortably in for long periods of time. Now listen, all of these issues, all of these questions are based on a mixture of speculation, other YouTuber reporting, and speaking to the driver and one or two tech representatives at the show. Sometimes Elon changes the specifications before the car comes out. Sometimes he adds and takes away things. So none of this means that the final iteration will look like I've described it. But that's what we have for now. So thanks for watching. Please, once again, the lifeblood of the channel is subscribers. It's you. Would you mind if you haven't subscribed? Just click on the subscribe button, go and click on the notification bell, and that way you'll get to hear when the next video is uploaded. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.